How has online dating worked for you? Met a girl on Plenty of Fish. We went out a few times, but it didn't really work out. We are still friends and talk frequently 3+ years later. I met a boy online 14 years ago when I was 17. He was in Alaska, I was in Australia, but he was my "online dating boyfriend." He's currently sitting next to me in Australia as my husband of 8 years 10/10ths would find in the abyss of the internet and marry so hard again. I married and divorced a man I met on Tinder, so yes and no. I met my wife in a less traditional online setting. We met on Sparkslive 6 years ago. A guy messaged me on FB out of the blue talking about my Tinder profile. Said we go to the same university and that it was the only way to reach me since we weren't matched. Long story short, it was mostly an inappropriate and one-sided 5-minute conversation. Had to delete my account after that. Not great. Highlights include the dude that kept texting me pictures of Hitler until I blocked him, several who got too drunk to stand, one who puked as I tucked him in and then called me a snotty bitch for not fucking him, and the guy who licked my face with no preamble on the ride home. Yeah, I'm done lol. Got married to the person I met online dating. After countless shit dates, it was just really nice, relaxed, and we just clicked. We've barely been apart since, and that was 10 years ago. Messaged by a girl on Bumble who was wearing a pro wrestling and a Mass Effect shirt in 2 different pics, and responded immediately. Been dating for over a year now. Started Tinder for a few months, 2 to 3 months, no matches. Redid my pictures twice, still nothing. Deleted and haven't tried again. Thinking of trying again. I had a girlfriend on RuneScape a few years ago. 2 years ago I was swiping through Bumble on a boring, unnecessary conference call, and I swiped right on the woman I will be marrying later this year. Matched my missus on Tinder. Both type 1 diabetic, both worked in the same company. Became the factory legend because I got with an office girl. Now we live in Arundel with a river in our back garden. Married the first girl I dated who I met online. It was on my BBS and 25 years ago, but it did work. Long story short, met the love of my life on POF in September 2018. Soulmate who completed me, made me and my body sing. He got diagnosed with cancer in January 2019, given 18 months to live. Died December 2019. So, very good for 14 wonderful months. Rarely match. When I do get a couple messages back and forth of pleasantries and getting to know, then ghosted. Every time. Never gotten a date with anyone from online. Met my current partner and future wife. I wasn't truly searching for a boyfriend, but I met a boy online and we started dating in 2016. He moved in a year and a half later, and we just celebrated our 4-year anniversary. Very successful, had many marriages. Tried serious dating, just ended up increasing the number of men I've slept with. If you're looking at my numbers, horrible, but if you're looking at my experiences, great. I'm too ugly for Tinder, but just attractive enough to get random ads from some women on Facebook. Haven't met anyone I really connect with, though. Currently laying next to my best Tinder match and our dog, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I joined Tinder after I had broken up with my ex as per my friend's insistence just to have fun. Within 3 days I had matched with a guy with who we never ran out of things to say, so a week later we met up, and we just clicked. Fast forward, it's now been 3 years that we are together, and even more in love than when we first met, and we even have a house together. We met online, talked almost every day for a year, met, dated, got married, and 12 years later still together. I was invited to a gangbang. Too bad the girl never showed up. Still had sex though. I seem to attract men who are toothless. Before, blowing money on video games and fast food, lonely and slept as much as I could. After, married, have a daughter, I'm part of her family now, and I love them all. Home is clean and comfortable and we are smart with our money, and we'll have a house with land before too long. Not well whatsoever. The matches I have either ghost me or send a few messages then never text again. It's also bots that I get as well. Got to a point I just stopped bothering very much. Met a few crazes, but then found someone truly psychotic enough to marry me. Heavy case of mistaken identity. Who's Bob Vagine? Met my wife on Tinder. Don't tell anybody that though. I feel like I've become too reliant on it. I've met all my exes through apps, and I wish I knew how to meet people the old-fashioned way. Terribly for the first half a year or so. I was about to give up when I found a girl with a really high match percentage to me. We went out and now over 4 years later we're engaged and living together in a new state. So in the end, it worked out pretty well. I met an awesome Canadian flight attendant. She was flying here to Germany once or twice a week. We dated for some time. Unfortunately it didn't work out in the long run, but it was a great experience and I still consider her a good friend. I put in zero effort. I've got zero results. Funny that. A good friend met her husband online, and before she met him, she'd had a few other less successful relationships from online dating sites. No horror stories, just things that didn't work out. I tried Bumble once, went on a date, and it worked out. We are still together 1 year on. That has been my first and only online dating experience. So literally a 100% success ratio for me, though I wasn't expecting that going in. Met my wife via online dating. When I came to the US there was no other way to meet women. All the women in grad school had boyfriends since high school or were already married. So I gave online dating a shot. It was a roller coaster process, but in the end I met my wife, so it all worked out well. I spotted a guy at my local bar doing lights for the band that was performing, and I sadly got kicked out before approaching him for using the men's washroom because I couldn't wait in the huge woman's lineup. Lol. Anyway, so I immediately downloaded Tinder to see if I could find him, and I did, and he matched me. We are still kicking it 3 years later. Thanks Tinder. We'll be celebrating our 12th wedding anniversary this year. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. Matched with a girl on Tinder and we decided to meet up. She looked a lot chubbier in person, but I didn't mind. Problem was she brought her fat best friend without telling me, and she stayed throughout our date. I was pretty much left out of place the whole time. Not at fucking all. Friend of mine met his wife online. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing wrong. Met my wife on Craigslist personal ads back when those were a things. It's done alright for me. I mean 12 years together, 6 married, got a 6-year-old kid. She's kind of on the fence on us making it to 13 years old lol. I was able to bang 2 chicks with the same name consecutively. That's about all there is to report so far. So not really dating, but I met my husband online. In a MSN chat room, in 1999, when online dating was unheard of. One day he sent me a whisper, a private message for those of you who have never heard of MSN chat, and asked if he could come see me. He lived 5 hours away and drove down to take me to dinner and then drove back home. 20 years later we are married for 13 years after doing long distance for 7 and have 3 kids. It didn't work until it did. I had lots of first dates, one night stands, and fizzled crushes before I met my wife on Tinder about 3 years ago. It just took a while to find a girl who A, I was attracted to, B, was attracted to me, and C, had similar desires for what they wanted out of life. The big thing is just be yourself, improve yourself if possible, and be patient. Someone who appreciates you for the things that make you will come along. You can't rush compatibility. Tinder, 6 months in, she is the most emotionally supportive people I've ever met. Online relationships are awesome. I'd love to be a part of one someday. Posted a comment on a metal band's official page and got a request from this chick. Started talking to her cause I wanted to bone, but ended up with a house and a kid with her 10 years strong straight out of MySpace. It's pretty low effort too. Many of my dates originating online had successful outcomes, ranging from short-term relationships to marriage. Mind you, this was before Tinder. Rather debilitating experience, lots of fraud in pictures and about me descriptions and fake likes. Looking at you, match. I had pretty much given up, stopped subscribing and only stayed on one where I could receive messages for free. And then a gal sent a message. We were an incredibly good fit, had a heck of a lot of fun together. She moved in after 4 months with her 3 Bengal kitties. It's been a year now, and we have 5 Bengal kitties. Met a guy on Grindr and 2 years later we still happily together. Dating is just a numbers game. Entertain anything that gets you dates.